The most important investment in your club is your players. Sports Centre with Victor Sports Medical provides a comprehensive range of sports medical and rehabilitation equipment. Victor Sports are proud suppliers to Australia's top sporting organisations and league, including Australian Rugby Union, the Rugby League, Baseball Australia, AFL Melbourne and Greater Western Sydney football clubs and local South Australian National Football League club Sturt. With packages to suit all budgets, you really must have your kit up to date and complete. Keep your players on the arena with Victor Sports Medical. Remember, Sports Centre reps are here to help you and your club and are happy to visit your club anytime, anywhere. Victor Sports.
Need to sell your car? Tried the internet and don't want strangers at your house? Give it to us, CarNet Auctions Adelaide, and if we don't sell it for you, we won't charge you a thing. Visit our website caa.com.au and ask for Darren. He will sell your car the easy way. No sale, no charge. CarNet Auctions, Grand Junction Road, Athol Park.
Yes, thanks for staying with us, everyone. A very, very special guest, our new segment, Life After. Now, we're talking about life after footy for our next guest, one of the champs, Dave Mckay, joins me. Dave, thanks for coming in.
Hello, Phil. I thought I'd passed away. I thought this was an obituary.
We would have called you God. I know you got called that a lot over the journey and a lot of other things as well.
I got called a few things.
Did you? Mate, let's start at the beginning for you and then we'll come to the end and then life after footy, because a lot of footballers now finish and it's all sorts of different trouble across world sport. It's not just common just with footballers, but you started where?
Started at Oak Park under nines when I was just a kid, and I played with Wayne Harms in the early days. You might remember he went on to be the first ever Norm Smith medalist and the grandson of the great Norm Smith. It was a terrific moment. His dad used to drive us down to training and we had a terrific time, and I think that produced people like Alan Mangels, Peter German, who later went to North Melbourne. They were a club that played above its weight in those days. They produced a lot of pretty good footballers.
Why Oak Park?
Was where we lived. And in those days, you just played with your local oval. You used to ride your bike down, or the mate's dad would give you a lift down and you'd start playing.
All right, under 13s for you was a pretty successful period in your time?
Oh, we had a wonderful period at Oak Park in those days. We had some terrific coaches, and junior coaching, I think, is the key everywhere. And I think we won a flag every year. I played under 9s, 11s, 13s, and I think I won the league best and fairest every year. And that brought me under the notice of Carlton.
All right, before we talk about Carlton, you touched on it there, and it's a lot of criticism at the moment with the AFL. I mean, we saw this week the Crows came out and said kicking's a problem for them. You touched on really good junior coaching, so obviously good skill development. Is that lacking?
I think so. Today? But I also think at primary school, we used to have a terrific sports master. He used to open the doors of the school at 6 a.m. You'd get in there and you'd get a football, and from 6 till 8:30 you used to kick a football around. In summer we used to get a cricket bat and a ball from 6 till 8:30, and it really honed your skills, made you better. And I don't think we see that today.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. All right, from there to Carlton.
There to Carlton's terrific. Chris Pavlo, an old Carlton champion, was the under-19s coach. I think I hadn't quite turned 14 when I went down there. But I was a big kid and I did pretty well. I think the first year I played in the under-19s, I think I kicked 52 goals. And by the following year I was playing reserves at 14 through 15, 16. And I played quite a number of reserves games at Carlton under some pretty good coaches. Old Serge Silvani was one of the coaches.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a terrific fellow, still is. Towards the end of 77, Carlton decided I needed some senior experience, so they sent me down to Penguin the last half of the 77 season to play in Tasmania with Penguin.
All right, if you look through the Carlton record books, it will say you were the youngest player ever to play.
To actually play, yes.
Under 17s, under 19s, and all those grades right through. You talk about going to Penguin. Now, did Carlton send you to Penguin and say, we'll see you at the end of the season, or was it a fly in, fly out?
Oh no, I used to train with Carlton during the week, and they'd fly me down on Friday night. In fact, I think I was the last ever fly in, fly out player to Tasmania. They stopped it after that, but I used to fly down on the Friday night, play on the Saturday, stay for training on the Sunday, and then fly home back to Melbourne on the Sunday.
How difficult to train with Carlton during the week, go and play with Penguin on the weekend, and train on Sunday and try and retain all that for the following week?
No, I didn't think it was difficult at all. In fact, there was a coach down there, Pat McCarthy, who I still say was the best coach I ever played under. Would have made a terrific AFL coach, and he was terrific to play under and really understood that and what my role in the team was. He was the first guy. When you're a champion young footballer, you just get to play.
Yep.
with him, he used to say, this is your role today. He was the first one who introduced me to the concept of your role in the team.
All right, so you come back from Penguin and then we see you come over to West Torrens.
Well, the following year, Carlton decided that it was so good because I played for Penguin. We won a flag that year at Penguin. We won the state titles. I was selected in the Tasmanian state team, and Carlton thought that was so successful they tried me in a better competition, which was South Australia the following year. So I played the first half of the season at Carlton, and then in June they sent me over to play under Neil Curley at West Torrens.
Why Curley? Why Neil Curley?
They thought John Nichols was coaching at Glenelg at the time, and I loved Big Nick. He was my first ever coach at Carlton, and I would have gone to Glenelg, but they thought I needed somebody harder and meaner to really get me ready for the rigours of VFL football then. And so they sent me to Neil Curley, and Curls...
They misjudged that one.
Well, Curls lived up to it. He was a pretty tough coach. I remember one night I was just running around doing circle work. He didn't think I was working hard enough, so he came and shirt fronted me. You know, he said, be aware, lad, be aware. So next time I went around, I shirt fronted him, and apparently I did a bit of damage. So I was pretty happy with that.
Yep. All right, now, Curls has got a fairly fearsome reputation for all the things that you talk about.
Well deserved.
Do people miss that he was also a great mind of the game?
Look, I don't think they do. I think the players who played under him...
The players do, but I think everyone always sees him as the tough guy.
Well, he was.
But a lot of people miss that he was a good student of the game, wasn't he?
He valued physical endeavour more than anything. I remember one day against Port Adelaide, I broke my collarbone in the first quarter, and he put me to full forward and played me that whole game. I kicked a couple of goals, and we, I think, did pretty well or won. And I said to him after the game, why is that? He said, it's just part of the toughening up process, lad. You've got to learn to play with injuries. But he had a very good program of... He was one of those first coaches like Malcolm Blight. When you get the ball, run forward of it. When you don't, let's go back and defend. He was very early on that, and I think a lot of people have jettisoned off his coaching style in later years.
All right, so due to go back from West Torrens, of course, back to Carlton at the end of the year. Didn't happen. Why? You stayed with West Torrens. Why?
Met a pretty young girl. Got married in the finish. Yes. Very quickly got married.
Yep.
And stayed here. And I have not regretted it because although I didn't go back to Carlton and play the AFL footy or the VFL footy that I would have liked, I really built a good life in South Australia. And I do think South Australia is a terrific place to live and raise your kids.
Met the good-looking woman and fell in love. Did Carlton understand that, or were they dirty?
Oh, they were dirty.
At the time,
they were not happy at the time.
How did that finish up getting handled? I mean, you've got to make the phone call. You've got to notify someone you're not coming back. Who was the point of call?
I was very fortunate that Keith Mills was the football manager, and he took it. But the hierarchy, I'm told, didn't handle it very well because from time to time I had to go back and train there, and they weren't too happy about it, you know.
Did you ever think you'd go back? I mean, was it I'll stay here for a year or two or I'll go back? Or once you'd made the decision?
No, once I made the decision, I was pretty happy. I got into the car business. The car business was very successful. And to be honest, I was making way more money in the car industry than I ever could. I remember Jimmy Buckley in '79 won the Carlton Best and Fairest. Now, he was best man at our wedding.
Yep.
He got paid $16,000. I think in that year doing what I was doing, I got $52,000. So he was pretty much a full-time footballer then, not earning a lot of money, and I was earning pretty good money. So for me, I love footy, but I also knew that my future was somewhere else. All
right, you were smart enough to see life after footy. Life after footy. So was it always going to be the car industry?
No, I was studying to be a real estate valuer. In fact, I was going to be in real estate is what I wanted to be.
Yep.
But West Torrens, when they brought me over here, couldn't transfer me into the course till the following year. So I had to do something, and I just started selling cars part-time and quite enjoyed it.
Then you became owner of quite a few franchises along the way.
Yeah, you're actually good get. I was a partner in 9 franchises. We had City Mazda and Formula Honda and City Suzuki and City Hyundai. Graham Corn's Toyota was that was my very first dealership. In fact, I retired at the end of the '83 season because that was my first dealership. I bought it and went to run it. And I retired, but Steve Pavlich came out and convinced me to come back and captain the reserves one more year without training.
Without training?
Yeah, so I used to train with them on the Tuesday night, which I could, but Thursday night was our late night trading, so I was at work. And he said, well, you can't play in the seniors if you can't train. You don't need to retire. But he did say to me, come back and I'll teach you to love football again. I think I had lost
the passion for the game.
The passion for the game. Truthfully, and I think a lot of footballers, and we need to be mindful of that now. I think player welfare today is way better than it was then. And I had literally lost the love of the game. shoulder reconstructions, getting away from the family, and it was difficult. But I came back, and I would recommend it to any player who wants to think about it. Go back and your last year, if instead of going to the country, go back and captain in the reserves and help the young fellas. And I did that, and we brought through some pretty good. David Fotier, Andrew Pace came through that program, and we won the reserves premiership that year. And I really, really learnt to love football again, which helped me to get into commentary.
Were you tempted to go another year?
No, never.
No?
No.
Your passion was back. You decided it was the 1 year.
Yeah.
Now I moved into commentary. You're one of the only blokes, probably the only bloke that's done commentary for 7, 9, 10 and 2.
To the best of my knowledge, I'm the only one who's worked for all the stations. I think Kim Dillon went close. He worked for 3.
Yep.
And there's a few others that did as well.
So you're either really good and people want you, or you're a prostitute. Which one?
I was just lucky. I was doing the KG footy show, and Des Flavel, the producer, got taken to Channel 7.
Great man, Des.
And he took me with him.
Yep.
And from there, he then went to 10 when they changed over the stations. So 7 became 10 and 10 became 7 way back then. And from there, he went back to 9 when they had the football, went there. And then I did a deal with Kim Dillon, where Kim Dillon worked for Channel 2 and I worked for Channel 9. But something happened with Kim, so I had to go and work for 2 and he worked for 9. And in the finish, it worked out pretty well for me.
David, looks along the journey that you've helped a lot of players to go back and play reserves. A lot of blokes won't do that because the ego doesn't allow it.
Well, initially, I didn't, and I really have to thank Steve Pavlich for that.
Yep.
And you can see why his lad is such a champion player for Fremantle.
Yep. So you've gone back, helped all those kids, then you've moved out of the football playing world into commentary. You've helped a lot of blokes along the way in the commentary.
Well, we introduced Mark Nayley was one, Tim Geneva was one that we introduced, Ken Sheldon was another, we introduced Stephen Trigg was another. You know, there was quite a few.
Have you got any good names?
Neville Roberts.
There's some great names
quite
in there.
But I was very fortunate because they were mates.
Yep.
It was very easy for me to bring them in. We were able to rotate them through the commentary. David Wildy was on our regular roster. Gary Window was on our regular roster. You know, we had quite a few really good people visit us. Phil Carman came down and had a shot. Bucky Cunningham came and gave it a shot for a while. They were all people that I introduced to the commentary.
And now, where is business now?
Now is Carnet Auctions. We're on Grand Junction Road. I run a large auction on Grand Junction Road. We sell cars and we auction them. We wholesale them to dealers all around Australia, and life's pretty busy.
Pretty chaotic. Any involvement in footy now? Or time's consumed with business?
Well, no. Through the journey when I was as a commentator, I actually player managed a number of players.
Yep.
Fabian Francis, who had that terrible debacle going from Port Adelaide to Fremantle, gave me the heave-ho and went with Max Stevens as a manager. Now, I promise you, had I been his manager, he would never have left Port Adelaide. He went to Fremantle. They didn't have the salary cap, and he never really played AFL football ever again. So I've enjoyed the player management side. I've enjoyed the commentary side of it. I've enjoyed the playing of it. I really didn't have the time with business to coach. I would like to have, but commentary really was a nice outlet that kept me connected to the clubs. Yes. I made some great friendships with some great people.
Sometimes in commentary it becomes a bit of a dog-eat-dog world. You know, can lead to a lot of insecurities. Your period sounds much more like everybody got on, everyone tried to help everyone.
No, it was really good. And plus I was in the fortunate position where I was earning 50 times more away from the commentary box than I was in the commentary box. So if they wanted to sack me. You know, and my view was if...
Always nice to have that up your sleeve.
Yeah, that's right. I was never beholden to anyone. And one of the problems, as you know, this could end tomorrow. But for me, I had something to go to all the time, and I would really encourage, that's one of the things we're here for today, is to talk about, you know, what players do. Get yourself organised before you finish your career so that when football or cricket or basketball finishes, you've got something to go to.
Well, there it is from a man who knows life after sport. You should get into something. Time for us to wrap it up. Next week we'll be talking bowls. We'll have a little look at a lot of other sports that are happening here in South Australia. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Look forward to your company next week.